All right, welcome. Today we're going to dive into one of the most powerful and misunderstood emotions we all experience anger. We're going to explore how to transform it from this thing that just takes you over into a tool that you can actually understand and master.
So let's just jump right in with a single idea that honestly could change everything for you. What if I told you that the physical, white-hot rush of anger you feel actually has a built-in expiration date?
And get this, neurologically, it's a fact. The actual stress chemicals that flood your body and create that physical feeling of anger, the racing heart, the tight jaw, the clenched fists, they naturally flush out of your system in just 90 seconds. So anything you feel after that minute and a half, well, that's not the initial chemical reaction anymore. That's a choice you're making to keep the story going.
And choosing to stay in that angry state, well, it has some pretty serious consequences. As you can see here, studies show that unmanaged anger can actually weaken your immune system. Another found that folks who tend to stay angry are 9% more likely to have a heart attack. So this isn't just about feeling better in the moment, it's literally about your long-term health.
So if the actual physical feeling is only 90 seconds, how in the world does anger last for hours, or sometimes even days? Well, it all comes down to the difference between a signal and a story.
Think of that 90-second chemical rush like a smoke alarm in your body. It's a signal, right? It's just there to get your attention. But instead of going to check for the fire, what do we usually do? We just stand there, replaying the story of how the toast got burned over and over in our minds, keeping that alarm screaming long after the danger is gone. And that's exactly how we keep that alarm bell ringing, by feeding it a story. We replay what they said, we rehearse what we should have said, we build this whole narrative around it. The real key to taking back control is becoming what we call a story stopper, making that conscious choice not to hit rewind on the mental movie after those first 90 seconds are up. So what is actually going on up there in our heads during that first rush? To really get it, we need to meet two key players in your brain. What we're looking at here is basically an internal battle. On one side, you've got the amygdala. Think of it as your brain's ancient, super fast hair trigger alarm system. And on the other side, you've got the prefrontal cortex. This is like the modern, logical CEO of your brain, the part that thinks things through. Now, when a trigger hits, the amygdala can sound that alarm so loudly that it basically hijacks the whole system. It floods you with emotion and effectively shuts down the prefrontal cortex. And that's what's known as an amygdala hijack. It's that moment when your emotions completely take the driver's seat and all rational thought just goes right out the window. Okay, so we know about the hijack. The big question is, how do we stop it? Well, the secret isn't to never feel the alarm, but to create a little bit of space between the alarm and your reaction. And this quote, man, it just perfectly captures the single most powerful idea here. That trigger, the stimulus, it's not directly wired to your reaction. There is a tiny moment, a space, and inside that space is all of your power. Most of us go through life not even knowing it's there, but finding it and then widening it, that is the absolute key to emotional freedom. And the great news is, you can actually create that space with some really simple practical actions. Deep, slow breathing, like a box breath, sends a direct signal to your nervous system to just calm down. Consciously unclenching your fists and your jaw reverses your body's fight response. Physically stepping away, even for a minute, gives your thinking brain time to come back online. And simply naming the feeling, just saying to yourself, okay, I notice anger is here. It shifts you from being the emotion to observe. Now, once you've created that pause, you're in a position to do something truly powerful. You can start to decode what the anger is actually trying to tell you. Because here's the secret. Anger is very rarely the real story.
Anger often feels really powerful, right? And it shows up like a security guard, all tough and loud, to protect the much more vulnerable feelings that are hiding underneath. It's often just the spokesperson for things like hurt or fear or shame or feeling disrespected. It just feels a heck of a lot safer to be angry than to feel vulnerable.
Just look at the difference here, the angry reaction. You never remember anything. What does that do? It just creates conflict and pushes people away. But if you can get to the underlying feeling and say, I felt forgotten and unimportant, well, that invites connection and understanding. Speaking from that vulnerable place gets a completely different result. And this is why your triggers are so incredibly valuable. Seriously, they are not random.
They are a map pointing directly to the unhealed wounds from your past. When someone pushes your buttons, they're really just showing you where your buttons are located. Keeping a simple journal to track these moments can help you see the patterns and start the real work of healing those old spots.
All right, let's bring it all home with the final piece of the puzzle. We're going to shift from just reacting in the moment to proactively building some long-term emotional fitness. Now, this is a total game changer. It's a huge reframe. What if the most difficult person in your life wasn't an obstacle, but was actually your personal emotional trainer? That critical boss, they're training your resilience. That difficult family member, they're giving you a masterclass in setting boundaries. Suddenly, every challenging interaction becomes a chance to get stronger, not a personal attack. Okay, so let's break down a few core exercises for this emotional training plan. First up, journaling. And this isn't about venting, it's about being a detective of your own mind. When you write down your triggers and reactions, you're actually strengthening that connection to your prefrontal cortex, your thinker, and letting it spot patterns your emotional brain just can't see. Then there's mindfulness. Think of this like weightlifting for your attention. Practices like meditation train you to just watch your thoughts without getting swept away. This is crucial because it lowers the intensity of a trigger when it hits, giving you more of that precious space to choose how you respond. And finally, boundaries. This is all about protecting your own peace. When you clearly and respectfully state what you will and won't accept, you stop that constant buildup of resentment that often leads to blow-ups. It's not about building walls, it's about managing your energy.
And this quote, it really just nails the ultimate goal of all of this work. For most of us right now, the outside situation, the traffic jam, the rude comment, it dictates our internal state. The real goal is to flip that script. Your internal state of calm and clarity should be so strong that it shapes how you experience any external situation.
So, I want to leave you with this question. The main takeaway here isn't about getting rid of anger. It's about understanding its message, honoring that 90-second rule, and using that space to choose your response. It's really about reclaiming the power to decide who you want to be no matter what's happening around you.